to Educational Warfare. I'm Dr. Jordan Lauer, and with me is my partner, the man whose turkey is never dry and whose cranberry sauce would never come out of a can, Dr. Ryan Jackson. Good morning, Ryan.
Hey, good morning, Dr. Jordan. Man, I appreciate that introduction. I'm just going to go on record. This is full disclosure. I am not a turkey guy, man. I just can't do it, bro. I'm not big on the turkey.
Hey, you know, I'm a various type of turkey guy. You know, I love fried. I'm also not afraid to throw in a Thanksgiving ham there. But, you know, why are we talking about Thanksgiving food today, Ryan?
Oh, you know why? Because, I mean, we are entering a very special week where not only do a lot of educators have this week off, you know, you've been busting tail, working hard, you get to this point, and it's Thanksgiving week. So we're all about gratitude in this show. We're all about talking about things we're grateful for, all those things that we appreciate, especially through the lens of our educators.
You know, Thanksgiving is this week. Instead of doing episode 3, Exhaustion, the War Within, like we planned, we wanted to take this time to talk about what we're thankful for and what hopefully all educators are thankful for, just because it is a positive thing. It is a great thing. We're talking about in the show the things that attack it and the things that can make it difficult to work in and be in and feel successful. But at its core, it is something to be thankful for. And we just wanted to talk about that today. So that is our plan today. And then next week, we'll be back with our third and final episode in the Exhaustion arc, Exhaustion, the War Within. And in between, still email us. You can email us at educationalwarfare.pod@gmail.com. You can also find us on X/Twitter, whoever you want to call it, at EDU Warfare. I'm on Blue Sky posting stuff as well. We'll hopefully get an official Educational Warfare page set up on there. You know, and any of those, if you want to message us, feel free. If you want to use the hashtag Educational Warfare on a comment, or again, email us. We'd love to hear from you. Send us some stuff you're thankful for. You know, we'll throw it into our last episode in this arc just to give you guys a little shout out and everything as well. So let's go ahead and get to it and start talking about the things we're thankful for, Ryan.
Let's dive in, man. Come on, I'm excited. It's a great episode. And I too appreciate, we are taking a brief pause, you know, from our War Within, War at Home 3-part series here. We will get back to that. But this week, this episode is just dedicated to those things we are grateful for. And let's dig into some of the psychology behind that mindset and why we need to keep that mindset in this episode as well. Absolutely. I'm excited, man. Let's dive in.
All right. The first thing I'm thankful for, we're thankful for, is the camaraderie of teachers. Ryan, in education, one of the best parts of teaching is that camaraderie. It is that being together. You know, teaching is unique in the way that you truly interact with the teachers around you. You know, every single day we vent, we ask for help, we share strategies, we just look at each other without saying a word when some kid does something silly in the hallway and just start chuckling without ever needing to say anything. We create together, and we all share the same clientele. You know, even if you don't teach a kid, like you don't have the same kid in your class, we all consider that kid ours. And we're working together with that. You know, a teacher never just walks by a kid they don't teach, seeing them doing something silly, seeing them doing something wrong, seeing them doing something good, and doesn't say anything. You know, that kid is theirs even though they don't have him in class. And that's a really cool thing about teaching and education that I am thankful for.
You know what I love about that, like specifically, so you know, you bring together people from for the most part, man, just various walks of life into the profession. Okay, so you're bringing together this collective group of people into a building. They've got various backgrounds, obviously different personalities, tastes, etc. But you all share the same students for the most part. There's this collective thread that connects you all. So no matter how different you are, and I mean, I've been in buildings, man, where I am the outlier. Right. Like I'm the strange dude in this bunch. But no matter how different you are, you share this common ground of students. And man, there is no faster way to connect to incredibly different people than give them a student who's just off the chain.
Right.
I mean, man, you're talking about instant friendship. like through this connected shared experience. But yeah, it's having those people in the building, man, and those personalities and the friendships and bonds, that come out of that. I think if I was going to challenge you, dude, like I do sometimes, my empathy, I wonder would be, what about those teachers, man, that you don't have a good team,
right?
Or you do feel like you're in isolation. I mean, I got to give a shout out to those too, because they're out there.
Absolutely.
Where you just feel like, man, I'm not connecting here, or I'm the odd man out, or I'm brand new on a team of veterans. It's just a lot to that, but
right.
I don't want to paint it all as rose-colored glasses. We do want to be mindful and empathize with, some of those teachers that are trying to find their way, even within a building.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a thing where you do have those great relationships at times, and you're laughing. Before I go to those teachers who are kind of struggling, I always think of a school is kind of almost like The Office, the TV show. You're all in there, and you're doing the same thing. You have the same goal, but there's so many different personalities. You have the goofy, silly, sometimes younger ones, or mid-veterans, I'll call them, 10, 15 years. But then you have the really young, very fastidious, like, I have to do this. Then you have the older ones who just kind of like Stanley. You say something, they're like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Right.
So it is a great collection of personalities. But, for those teachers who are struggling, there's, it can be difficult because when you want to reach out, sometimes if you're maybe a talkative teacher, or you just like to use that time in between classes to kind of recenter and talk, and you step out in the hall, either they're still in the room or kind of busy, or you're stepping out in the hall to say something real quick a second after the bell and the doors are already shut. So you just feel you're going from class to class. That can be difficult, and with that, I say that, everybody's there doing that job, so there's always something to talk about. So just don't be afraid to go out and put yourself out there and walk into that room.
And I think that's a good place to just, again, include that gratitude.
Right.
I am grateful for those types of teachers.
Absolutely.
I'm going to throw my wife into that mix, man. I've said it before. She's a 19-year veteran. She's very social. She loves a good team. She wants collaboration. She's going to go out of her way to make others feel connected. She's going to go out of her way to see somebody who may be working in isolation, or who just not has been officially welcomed into any kind of group or small group. She's going to find that person, make that connection, and be very intentional about making them feel welcomed warmly, that they belong. And she's not unique. Big shout out to those teachers in that respect that go out to make those connections. Not unlike what they do with their students, they're also doing this with adults as well. Those people, true game changers in a building, absolute game changers.
Yeah, and I love those people too, because sometimes, especially in a new building, it's going to be kind of shocking considering I'm sitting here talking to all of the people listening, but I could become scared to go out and talk to those teachers. Like, I don't want to be a bother. So sometimes when I get to a new building, when I've changed schools, I'm kind of sitting there and I'm like, oh, I hope, I want to go talk to these teachers and everything, but then I'm a little worried about it. So I'll kind of sit at my door and maybe not look like I'm super interested, not trying to. And those type of teachers will come up and be like, hey, how's it going? And just start a conversation. And I'm thankful for that and that's, as I've gotten older and been in this career longer, now I've become one of those teachers. I'll go up to a new teacher and be like, hey, what's up, man? Just talk to them. So I'm super thankful for that, because without people like that, I may still be sitting at my door looking like the guy who's like, does he want me to talk to him? And those people kind of brought me out of my shell.
And the word that comes to mind here, man, is camaraderie. I've got a great friend. His name's Ryan Murphy, currently a teacher at Nashville School of the Arts. Man, this man was my mentor in 2008. And I still have a long-standing, deep personal friendship with him, the things we went through at Maplewood High School, and just his journey as a human being, as an artist, as a country musician. Just our friendship, man, has been long lasting. And I look back on those early years of teaching, with his mentorship and friendship, just stuff I'll never forget, man. I hold that deep in my heart. So that camaraderie that comes out of, working in a school setting, certainly a public school environment, but I think all educational settings, has the ability to develop this kind of camaraderie that can be game changing for personal friendships and, long standing connections.
Yeah, that's the camaraderie is so wonderful and it's so great. And while we're on teachers, just merging this in the camaraderie part, teachers also, I'm thankful for this, are some of the hardest workers I've ever met. We covered this. This is exactly what this arc that we're in the middle of right now is all about. We're covering exhaustion. Teachers stay late. They work at home. They grade. They create new lessons into the wee hours of the night. And they go miles out of their way, miles away from their home to maybe watch a single student in a tennis match or perform in a play or go see the football team. Or they're one face out of 500 that maybe the players won't even know that are there, but they are there because they want to be there. So I'm just thankful for the work you all put into this career we've chosen, these students who we've been given, and each other working in that camaraderie you were talking about, Ryan.
Man, I love that little bit that you threw in there, about driving, miles, sometimes hours away for an event where you may be supporting one kid.
Right.
Man, it's so true. I saw it as a principal and saw teachers do that. I certainly did it, myself. And it makes you just wonder, like, wow, the psychology behind that. I'm going to sacrifice so much over here to support sometimes just this one person in their thing they're doing that will not get publicized or promoted.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Will not get spotlighted. Most of the time, nobody knows about it. There's no vanity in it, no ego. I mean, it's fascinating. You want to talk about something to be grateful for. Right. There are people in this world that do just that. And we call them teachers. We call them educators. So very grateful for that. And yes, the sacrifices they make, the ways they go out of their way to just support, encourage, make others feel special. Truly something to be grateful for. All of us have experienced that in some capacity.
Yeah, it is. And, like you were saying, no vanity in it. They don't brag. They don't put out there, do a quick TikTok video. They're walking. All right, guys, walking out to my van to go see blah, blah, blah. They just do it. They're just in the crowd.
Right.
And then they can say the next time they see that student, even if they didn't get a chance to wave them down or give them a hug, which we all try to do to let them know they're supported in the moment. But if it's big crowd you may not get to, that next day, the look in the kid's eye when the teacher is like, I saw you perform. And
oh yeah, dude, listen, I live by a certain creed, man. You'll tell me what you believe, but you'll show me what you value.
Right.
You'll tell me what you believe, but you will show me what you value. Now you're that kid, you look up, there's been no conversation, no mention necessarily, and you look up and see your teacher supporting you in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it does something to you. It unlocks something in you. And to me, that is something to be truly grateful for. That goes way beyond the job description.
Absolutely.
Way beyond the highlights of what we really talk about when we reference teachers. This is getting into the nitty gritty of how teachers really impact students and get into that life-changing window of conversation that we've mentioned before.
Yeah, way beyond also what, like you said, is discussed about teachers, but what people know about them. The media doesn't cover that. And it's always something else in the classroom. So that's a beautiful part of teaching. And, you all are doing a great job with that. We see it, which means others see it. And especially as we were talking about, the students see it. So great job on that, everybody. And it's a beautiful part of teaching. And one of the reasons we're both thankful for y'all. So let's jump in real quick to number 2, Ryan.
Yeah, man. Go ahead, man. I love this one. I'm excited to talk about this one because it's just absolutely so true.
Reason number 2, we are thankful how the work always changes and stays interesting.
Yeah, this one is near and dear to my heart. Offline, you and I were talking about being an adrenaline junkie. Now, I think for me, it was a little darker shade of that. I was truly stress addicted, and I found every bit that I wanted inside of a public school building, certainly as an administrator, but as a teacher as well. That just filled this intense need that I had for all those years. But the lighter side of that, it's always interesting You know, I love that show. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Man, it's
such a great show.
Always interesting in a school building. Very rarely a dull moment, you know, in there. So just love that and grateful for that. That no matter what, when you're walking in, you really have zero idea what could go down today. And that does keep things interesting. You know, they say variety is the spice of life. So I think the teaching profession certainly gives us that.
Yeah, I think teaching, education, being a teacher, being a principal, anybody in a school building, it's the one job where, like you said, you may have an idea of what you're planning on doing, but you have no idea what's going to happen. From the first bell to the last bell, you cannot plan out anything other than what you're expecting to do in the classroom. You know, you might come in and there might be 10 kids coming up who are like, hey, today we're dressing up like this, and they're all hyper and stuff. Or you might come in and there's a kid who's already doing something crazy and you're like, well, I guess I'm spending the first 10 minutes taking care of this. You just don't know. So it can be exhausting, yes, as we've been talking about, but it's definitely never boring. And
one tier I never served at, my wife has, but I never have, is middle school. I've been a high school guy my entire career, but my wife's done a couple of different stints in middle schools, and I just always remember she would share, you know, at that age, they're either, you know, hanging on you one day, you know, I love you, Miss KJ, or they're cussing you the next,
yes,
or sometimes within the same day, you know, and it's just
the same 10 minutes.
You never know who I'm going to get, which personality shows up today, especially when you're dealing with raging hormones and just a brain that is rapidly developing. You know, it's just never a dull moment. You know, you can't set your clock by it. You can't count on consistency unless that consistency it will never be consistent. It's always going to change. There's always going to be something absolutely crazy that happens today. I just don't know where that's going to strike, but I'm paying attention and waiting for it because that's the life of a teacher. That's the life of an educator. It's always interesting.
It is. Yeah. I taught 7th grade for 4 years, and I will tell you what, it's exactly what you're talking about. You never know what you're going to get with the same students, sometimes in the same time. And, you know, there's such an interesting group of, 7th graders, 8th graders, they start to mature a little bit, but 7th graders, I'll tell you, you can feel amazing about yourself. They just have no filter. So like, you're like, I look really nice today. I look very professional. It's a good outfit. I like my fit. Right. And they'll walk up and they'll just kind of look at you and you're looking at them like, good morning. And they're like, point at your toes and then kind of up your outfit. They're like, what's going on here? Like, what are you doing? What's your goal today? Or why do you look like that? And you're like, okay, well, I thought I felt I'm going to go cry in my room real quick. I'll come back out, let y'all in.
Out of the mouths of babes.
So they just have no filter and they're hilarious. But you never know what you're going to get every day. And that's interesting.
Are you, let's just hang on those 4 years you did in 7th grade, man. Are you grateful for the smells that come with middle school students?
I'm grateful that now I'm pretty sure I can go into any situation. The smell won't affect me. I think it's trained to my nose. Yeah. Like if I walked into something where people are like, oh my gosh, I'd be like, no, you've never been in a middle school hallway.
That middle school smell tutelage, man, has prepared you for any environment you could walk into, and smell will not be a factor.
May in the middle school, I'm going to say May and August, but usually May, that moment when they don't have the heat on anymore and they've yet to turn the air and it's like 85 outside, that's just a tropical rainforest of scent that you will never forget. Like that's,
you're triggering a memory, man. And since we're still talking about gratitude and being grateful, so I'm just going to be grateful for thinking back when I was in middle school. So I'm going back to the 90s. Okay. This is, 92, 90, 91, 92. I'm in middle school and I can remember, man, in August, you said August or May. I can remember in August, us being let out early a couple of times because it was so hot. And you say, that's weird though, right? But our buildings did not have AC. Mm-hmm. So we didn't have AC then, man. You're just raising the window.
Yeah, teachers have all the windows up.
They're letting us out because it's so hot. I'm trying to imagine, man, my olfactory senses are not bringing me back there in terms of memory. But I can only imagine being an adult teacher in a 1992 Evansville, Indiana middle school classroom that has no HVAC, bro. That's just, man, those people, veterans. That's like World War II status, man. That's like veterans.
I remember the days before AC. Your nostrils have no idea.
Before AC. in August.
Right? Yeah, just
man, you're in a classroom with no windows.
There's like a choir room with 58 kids.
Anyway, just a fun trip down memory lane there, man. You know, there's things we're grateful for, and there's of course things in the profession that we could see disappear tomorrow and we would be just fine with. But middle school smells, man, I got to put it into a gratitude category because when you've been through it, you feel like you can do anything.
I would like to personally apologize for being a middle schooler during those days and maybe contributing to that. My mom tried to make me shower, but middle school boys, they're a different thing. Also, any of those veteran teachers who were in the rooms in the 90s on those front lines, email us educationalwarfare.pod@gmail.com.
Let us hear from them.
The stories you have. We'd love to share those because I think that would be hilarious for this.
Man, so true, man. I would love a whole thread just dedicated to I was a teacher in the 90s and we did not have AC in August. Tell us your stories, please.
I wonder how many. I'm going to say 3 at least that we get emails that they're like, bro, a little bit of a Vicks vapor rub under the nostrils. That's how I made it through. I wonder if that's like the trick.
Right. That's it, man. I want to hear tools, tactics, strategies. I'm sure there's an unofficial, book on how to survive 7th grade body odor in a school with no AC. We want to hear it. So please send those in for the mailbag issue. I'm begging you, please. I want to hear these stories.
Wrapping up, just that the work always changes, stays interesting. I tell you what, when you think about that, how it's variable. Like I said, you may teach, like at this time of the year, I teach the French Revolution every year for 10 years. But so that the career stays the same, the content stays the same. But again, you never know what's going to happen. And we're always tweaking and changing. And I think about that of how it's so variable. And I'll tell you this, when I think about teaching, even though I may be exhausted when I get home and what we've been talking about, when I compare it to what it may be like to work in an office, like in a cubicle, I don't know. I might go crazy, man. And that's why you talked about being an adrenaline junkie. I don't know if I could transition from what we do now to sitting in a cubicle where, I talked about the show, The Office. A lot of times that show starts before anybody says anything. It just pans back and shows everybody working. And all you can hear is like the keyboard clicking and maybe a little fan noise and, Pam picking up the phone and quietly going, Dunder Mifflin, this is Pam. But it's so silent. Yeah. I would be going nuts.
I know. It's always made me wonder, and I don't know that there's been an official study on this. I'm certainly curious. The type of person that can not only survive, but thrive in that kind of teacher setting, educational setting, versus the doldrums of just a dry, static office experience. I mean, I'm sure there's personalities that just need that. I need this kind of placid, just incredibly quiet, library-esque environment to do my thing, to be productive. And then there's those of us that just can't, that need this other kind of environment that's incredibly stimulating, that is absolutely uncertain. We want that, so the mindsets and the personality types of the two, and I'm going to specifically go to things like ADHD. I would love to just see, how many of our educators have been touched on some part of the ADHD spectrum and where that falls. Because, man, you have to have a little something different in you to really be willing and excited about walking into an uncertain environment each and every day. And you're right, there are these common threads that we get, our content, our curriculum. For the most part, we're seeing the same people, but it's the situations that change daily and the implications of those situations at times that change and make it, so much anxious for us at times. But truly never a dull moment. It keeps you on your toes. It does make the days fly by. Certainly as an administrator, I mean, my days just absolutely zipped by.
Yeah, they really do. Sure. They go fast. It's weird because they go fast, but then whenever you have a day off, they go even faster. If you're like, you have to, have
Right.
a doctor's appointment early in the morning, you get back to your house like 9 a.m. And then you're like, man, all right, I'm just going to chill. I'm going to take a little me day. And then you kind of sit down, you watch a show, and you're like, I'd already be through fifth period by now. I've barely done anything at home, just because it does fly by, but you do so much in those hours.
Yeah, for sure. And look, before we switch to topic 3 real quick, I'm grateful for second quarter. And let's see how many can kind of relate to this. But I'm grateful for second quarter. There's 4 quarters in a school year. The first one's got all the adrenaline. It's back to school. We're excited. Okay. But man, that one starts to get a little arduous towards the end of that quarter. As that excitement wears off, you're into the slog of it now. And then you hit fall break. Ooh, we need that fall break.
Sharpen that saw.
Well, then you come into second quarter. But second quarter is beautiful, man. It's the shortest of the 4 quarters. You've got multiple breaks in there. It just feels like it truly zips before you get to the dark ages, the tunnel of quarter 3. And, I'm talking about that barren landscape, man, where it's dark when you get up and dark when you get home. Quarter 3, man, we're not there yet. So I'm just asking for us to be grateful and to hold the sense of gratitude for quarter 2. We love you, quarter 2. We're on a Thanksgiving break now, and we'll be finishing you quarter 2 before too long, but we just want to showcase our gratitude.
For quarter 2 is amazing. It's great with the breaks in there and the things that happen. Quarter 3, I call it 9 weeks of darkness, because it just seems like that. It's dark. When you get up, it's just getting light. When you get home, it is dark. And then there's almost no breaks in there. After January, you get one. It's just a March. And you see the light at the tunnel that is spring break, and you just reach for it the whole time. So
right. But it's so elusive.
That's
it's like a mirage at times.
The only thing you hope for is snow days in that third quarter, man. It's like, okay, it is February. I need a snow day.
Oh, that's it. My wife and I were talking about that the other night, man. We've been in here in Tennessee, like I know you're here in Tennessee as well. And it seems like we've been going like every other year with good snows. At least, last year we had a good one. I think 3 years ago we had a good one. And we were just really digging into that. When you don't get that good snow in quarter 3, oh man, I don't know. I'm a nerd, man. I know you know this about me, but I'm real into like NES speed runs right now. Okay, I'm talking Mega Man 2, Ninja Gaiden, and stuff like that. Games. These old school 8-bit games. They do these speed runs on them, and if you don't get these certain kind of random or glitches or whatever that's called, you don't get these certain bumps and effects, it can really kill your time. And it just makes me think of being in that third quarter. If you don't get that God send snow dump, oh man, it makes that dark realm just even darker. I'm thinking February, bro, just mid-February. Man, let's think you're not in a relationship. Maybe you don't have a Valentine, so it's even darker. Man, that's February, dude. It's February, third quarter. As an educator, is rough, which is why we're grateful for second quarter. We are absolutely grateful for you, second quarter, how short you are, how many breaks you have. That's how much we love you, second quarter.
And shout out, many thankful for those snow days. You are random, but you are beautiful. So shout out and thankful for snow days.
Yes.
All right, let's get to reason.
That's right. Absolutely. Grateful for snow days.
All right, let's get to reason number 3. All right, reason number 3 we are thankful. The little moments. I think the most beautiful thing about teaching and education are those little moments of humanity that we can never plan for. And I'm not talking about when a lesson really works or when students do well on a test. I'm talking about the moments of growth that you see in those kids, either academically or emotionally. When a kid shows they trust you, when the quiet kid gives you a homemade present around Christmas. They just walk up. That one you don't even really know. They just sit in your class and they're kind of looking at you. They're a great kid. They'll come up and talk to you a little bit. You talk to them, but there's none of this. You don't have like that real strong relationship, and they kind of quietly come up and hand you like a homemade ornament. And you just know they spent that time and they care about you and they were thinking about you. And those little moments, there's nothing that you can really replace those with.
No, I would agree, man. That's special stuff right there. to me, that just fills in the gaps. That's the cohesion that really pulls this thing together in terms of that why. And again, these are things that aren't always celebrated or showcased. It could be as simple, dude, as a fist bump from a kid. And I know that seems trivial, man, but especially as a principal, dude, where you deal with discipline so much, you're dealing with the intensity of the job and irate parents, just all of this. But then you're standing in the hall during a class change and a kid randomly, maybe one that you connect with or don't connect with much, extends the fist bump, bro. It's just, man, little moments like that, they truly do add up, bro, and they fill your cup. So true. Love the little moments. Very grateful for
what's
those.
A beautiful little moment I was thinking about? When a kid, when kids do it, it's great. You're trying to build those relationships. But one of my favorites is when you hear about how a kid talks about you from either principal or their actual parent. It's so cool when a principal comes up to you and says, hey, we had a meeting with this kid's parents and they just talked about how much they come home and talk about you. Dr. Lauer said this today and he was jumping around acting like a pirate because we were talking about pirates in AP Euro and he sword fought a guy while telling us all this stuff. And he just every day has a story like that. And when a principal comes up and tells you that, and I know every teacher listening out here has had one of those moments because we care and we do those things and we build those relationships. But that is just something, that is better than, hey, you got mostly 5s on your observation, which non-teachers, that means you did a really, really, really awesome job. That's a professionally pleasing moment. But when you find out that a kid takes what you're talking about and the way you've tried to connect with them and wants to share that with their parents. Remember, we're talking, right now, middle school and high school, right? That's what I taught middle school, I taught high school. Dr. Jackson, those are those kids that don't, it's, elementary kids.
That's right. No, that kind of affirmation has a multiplier effect, man. I would agree 100%. Man, you get a compliment from a high schooler, again, man, you get a compliment from a middle schooler, affirming the work you're doing, whether that's in terms of style, approach, effectiveness, cool factor, whatever it is, whatever the compliment is they're throwing you, man. You're right. Why is it that is so affirming, Jordan? You're right, dude. Why is it that at times means much more than an LOE? That's level of effectiveness that teachers are constantly chasing, that level 5 status. But man, you get that card, note, or secondhand, compliment from someone that's like, man, you should have heard how this kid was talking about you, man. You're really impacting that student.
So cool.
Dude, it is, man. Truly grateful for that. Those kind of moments where you're hearing it now through someone else, how you've impacted someone. Man, it is, dude. That's the kind of stuff that I think is just not talked about enough in why we get into teaching and what sustains a lot of people, man. Through just the drudgery of it all, you get these little moments that sustain you and pull you through. It's powerful.
It is. And it's any principals listening, I'm 100% sure you do this, but just to affirm what you're doing, let your teachers know those stories. I know you do if it kind of happens in the moment, but, make an effort if you hear that to reach out to them and let them know, not just hoping to bump into them, email them or call them in or walk down their room, because it is like a little bit of a boost to your battery, kind of sitting there like, whew, all right, I am ready for Thanksgiving break. I need that. And then your principal comes to you and says, hey, we had a meeting with this parent and they were just talking about you and how great you were. That just kind of goes like, boop, 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 boop. All right. Let's go. Thanksgiving break. What? I'm good. And I think that's important.
Man, I'll give you a timely case in point here. So, last week is the week leading into Thanksgiving break. So lots of excitement, dress up days, stuff like that. My wife works at a very large high school. Well, within their culture of the high school, they had students writing notes to teachers. All right. So this is an organized type of outreach. Students are just celebrating teachers that have had some kind of impact on them. So essentially, who they're grateful for in the building. And my wife, ends up getting several of these cards. She's real excited about them. This is the stuff that fills her cup, man. She loves this kind of affirmation from kids. This is why she shows up. But within these several, she ends up getting a few cards, a few affirmations from kids she's never had in class, doesn't know personally, no long-standing relationship. She's never helped them out in a situation. These are just people who are acknowledging her for how bright your smile is throughout the day. Whenever I see you, you're always smiling. That was one of them. Every time I walk by your classroom, you're greeting kids with a smile. She got another one. She loves to participate in pep rallies. She got another one where this kid was like, I just love your energy in the pep rallies. You really bring it. You're so much fun. I mean, just those kind of comments, compliments from a teenager, a high school kid, but more importantly, one who's never even met you directly. Man, that kind of stuff, those kind of moments, man, those are what pull educators through. It really is. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that touches you in a way that I have to believe is unlike any other profession out there.
Yeah, that is such a cool thing that she got a card from somebody who didn't know her. That's such an amazing feeling, and it's neat that schools do that. We do understand, and I think every profession does some type of thing around this, especially this time of year. But when you get a card that says Becky in accounting thinks you're amazing, that's beautiful, and it probably makes you feel good. But getting something like that from, again, a teenager who just doesn't, they struggle to have those emotional connections, and it's meaningful to us, and sometimes they roll their eyes. It's just so beautiful to get that from. So I'm so thankful for those little moments. Those really make education beautiful. They make education something that does fill our cup, like you said, that just drives us. And you hope those moments all build up, that if you can affect a kid like that and they build up, you have made a difference in them. Because if they're feeling that gratitude, you've touched their heart, you've helped them grow in some way, and that will stay with them forever. And they may not, in 20 years, they may be like, oh, I just thought about that goofy history teacher I had. They may not exactly remember your name, but you helped imprint on them, that gratitude, that connection, and that helps us all grow.
That's right.
So I'm thankful for that. And the final one here, Ryan, before we jump off, because I know all of us, if you're listening to this, you're probably smelling the turkey and the dressing and the yams. I love yams. So before we jump off here, I just want to say I'm also thankful, and I know Dr. Jackson echoes this, but we're thankful for all of you, for listening, for being a part of this. If you've listened to our mailbag episodes, they're really cool because it's not just random stuff. It's you guys reaching out to us and talking to us and commenting on the things we're talking about and sharing strategies. I've had articles shared. I've had strategies shared with that. And, Dr. Jackson and I both love looking at those and seeing them. And so we're just so thankful for that. So make sure, the content episodes we were talking about exhaustion, those first 3, those are awesome. Those mailbags, we do go deeper. And I'm just so thankful for you guys, for 1, listening, for 2, emailing in and being a part of the conversation. You make this awesome to do and so fun. So thank you for that.
Man, it was touching, man, and definitely so true. Grateful for our listeners, grateful for all educators who've really committed to this work, and certainly those who are tuning in to listen and share, what we have to say. So thankful and grateful for you, for all of our listeners.
Yes, and also, of course, we both are thankful for our families, for our wives and kids, letting us do this and supporting us and, giving us notes and stuff. Both being married to teachers, that's been really cool that they can be such a strong part of this, not only supporting, but, editorializing, like, hey, talk about this because I had this happen today. It's beautiful. So thank you for our families and kids as well. We love and appreciate you.
Yeah, and I'm thankful for my wife's mac and cheese, man. That's that's on my mind right now.
Breadcrumbs on top or no?
That.
She go breadcrumbs on top or no?
You know what? She does do a little breadcrumbs. Her magic is in the cheese, man. She's got multi-various cheeses in there. She really puts her foot in it, if you're familiar with that expression. This is,
yeah.
And that's a conversation for another day, man. You may not be ready for that yet, Listen, the mac and cheese, man. I'm telling you, I'll get you a bowl.
I was saying, give me a time. I will be over. I'll be like, hey, we got to talk about the podcast real quick. We'll use that as the cover, and I'll just be in the closet, like shoveling some in, and let y'all.
We will only eat mac and cheese during that conversation.
It's great. Well, again, y'all, thank you so much, and we hope you've enjoyed. We hope you have a great Thanksgiving, and next week we'll be back with our third episode in this arc over exhaustion, the war within. We'll be talking about what exhaustion, the things we talked about, the exhaustion at work, how it follows you home. We're talking about what it can do to you internally and how that can affect you for life, career, and just overall how you feel. So that's next week. So be ready. Hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. For Dr. Jackson, thank you for listening, and thank you for being a part of the fight.